So picture this. You're strapped into the passenger seat doing like 200 miles an hour down the main straight of the most famous circuit in the world. The engine is just, well, it's absolutely screaming at the red line.
Oh, yeah.
And the chassis is vibrating so hard your teeth are literally starting to rattle. And then suddenly you look over at the driver and realize the steering wheel is coming completely loose in his hands. I mean, that car is Real Madrid right now.
Right, and the brakes are entirely gone, like totally shut. It is a full-blown terminal velocity collision course.
Exactly.
We are not just staring down, a routine summer transfer window here. The club is facing this structural and tactical earthquake that genuinely threatens to just swallow the entire organization whole.
Yeah, and that is why we are ripping the hood off the club today on this deep dive. You are about to hear the unfiltered, aggressive pulse of the Bernabeu ahead of these explosive June 7th elections.
It's going to get messy.
Oh, incredibly messy. We are breaking down a ruthless tactical overhaul being demanded from the shadows, superstar egos violently colliding on the pitch, and a literal blood-in-the-water boardroom war.
A war that could redefine the ownership of the most successful sports institution on the planet.
Right. No warm-ups today, guys. We are hitting the gas. Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start in the engine room, right? Because you absolutely cannot win the race if the chassis is cracking underneath you.
You really can't. The defensive backline is, well, it's bleeding. And the tactical emergency is so severe internally that a ruthless rebuild has already been greenlit.
And the man standing in those shadows holding the clipboard and demanding immediate battle-tested blood is Jose Mourinho.
Yeah, the special one is back in the frame.
He is waiting in the wings for the election dust to settle, and his philosophy is, well, it's crystal clear. He's completely done with projects. He wants performance today. But how does that actually materialize on the pitch?
It materializes with immediate hardened targets, right? Let's look at the right flank. The priority right now is Denzel Dumfries.
Right.
He just turned 30. He is a physical brute of a wingback. And he has this dirt cheap 25 million euro release clause from Inter. He is basically the chosen one to step into the void left by Carvajal and directly compete with Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Wait, let me stop you right there.
Yeah.
Bringing in a 30-year-old Dumfries over a young, high-ceiling prospect.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like ripping the high-tech hybrid engine out of our car and slapping in an old, heavy, gas-guzzling V8 just to win the next lap. Are we completely abandoning the youth project out of sheer panic?
What's fascinating here is this isn't panic at all. I know it looks like it, but it's a highly calculated short-term stabilization strategy to basically survive the current chaos.
Survive.
Yeah, survive. Mourinho looks at the defensive frailties and says, look, I cannot teach a 20-year-old how to survive the trenches while we are under active artillery fire.
Because the margin for error is literally zero right now?
Yeah, precisely zero. Dumfries has been forged in the tactical rigor of Italian calcio. And in Italy, defenders are taught positional suffering,
Oh, the dark arts.
Exactly. How to hold a line under relentless pressure without breaking shape. He is disciplined, physically imposing, and brings immediate grit. It's about surviving today, so you have the luxury to race tomorrow.
That makes sense, I guess. But it doesn't stop at the right flank. The center back situation feels, honestly, just as desperate.
It's terrifying.
Right. Alba's absence has left this glaring gap, and the rotation we've seen, Militao, Rudiger, Heisen, Asensio, it's leaving dangerous tactical cracks. But the word inside Valdebebas is that a major reinforcement is basically a done deal.
Assuming Florentino wins the election, yes. Ibrahima Konate arriving as a free agent from Liverpool is the absolute priority.
Wow.
And you have to understand the mechanics of why Konate is so crucial here. When you play a high line or when your fullbacks are bombing forward, which Dumfries or Trent absolutely will do, you leave these vast, terrifying oceans of space behind them.
Right. You need a safety net. You can't just leave the goal exposed.
You need a safety net with raw recovery pace and just sheer power to cover those open spaces before a counterattack even materializes. Konate has that rare physical profile.
He's a monster.
Turtle monster. He can turn and sprint with elite attackers, physically bodying them off the ball in wide areas. He is the structural mortar required to fix that crumbling wall.
Okay, but what about the absolute last line of defense? The post-Courtois succession? Because the whispers are getting louder, the club does not see Lunin as the decade-long answer.
They really don't. I mean, Lunin has been a fantastic deputy, but They need a generational anchor. The goalkeeping profile the board wants is very, very specific.
Who are they looking at?
They are actively targeting the 20-year-old Ewan Jurgen from Reims. They're looking at around a 25 million euro fee for him. He is the long-term project.
But Mourinho hates projects.
Right. So, however, if Mourinho digs his heels in and demands immediate elite security, they might pivot to the veteran David Raya to just completely lock down the net from day one.
Man, that is a huge shift. But look, you can fix the defense all day, and you can tweak the goalkeeping, but you need an engine in the middle to connect it all. And here is the tremor shaking the training ground right now. Fed Valverde.
Oh, boy.
Is it true? There are active alarms ringing about him leaving.
The alarms are deafening. There is a 90 to 100 million plus bid looming from the Premier League. Specifically, we're talking about Enzo Maresca's Chelsea or Pep Guardiola's City.
Losing Valverde feels unthinkable. I mean, he's the heartbeat of the squad.
Losing him would be catastrophic for the team's RPMs, absolutely. But look at it from Maresca's tactical board or Pep's relentless pressing system. A box-to-box engine like Valverde is the holy grail.
Yeah, he never stops running.
Never. He covers ground, transitions the ball under heavy pressure, and breaks lines. If the club finds itself needing desperate liquidity to fund this Mourinho-led rebuild, selling Valverde is a terrifying but realistic lever they might be forced to pull.
But listen, you can lock down the defense, you can sell the midfield heartbeat, but all of that is absolutely useless if the multi-million-dollar attack is misfiring.
And it is heavily misfiring.
We have to shift from the back line to the catastrophic spacing issues up front. Mbappé is being forced to play as a traditional number 9, and frankly, it is painful to watch. Why is it feeling so badly?
Because it is a fundamental misunderstanding of his mechanics. You are taking the most devastating wide forward in the world and basically putting him in a phone booth.
A phone booth, that's exactly what it looks like.
Right. Mbappé operates as free verse. He inherently avoids physical duels with massive center backs. He doesn't attack the ball in the air. And against low blocks where the opposing defense sits incredibly deep in their own penalty box, he is completely suffocated.
Because there's literally no space for him to accelerate into. He needs a runway.
Exactly. A traditional striker like a Karim Benzema or Harry Kane understands how to physically pin the central defenders back. They occupy the center backs, drag them out of position, and create a vacuum of space behind them.
Doing the dirty work.
Doing the dirty work. And Mbappé needs that vacuum to accelerate from the wing. Without a true 9 doing that, the defense just collapses on him.
And while Mbappé is suffocating tactically on the pitch, Vinicius Jr. is in a complete standoff in the boardroom.
It's tense. Really tense.
His contract renewal is totally frozen until after the 2026 World Cup. What is the actual leverage dynamic happening there?
It's a high-stakes game of chicken. So Vinicius is currently making around 15 million euros net until 2027, but he wants absolute parity with Mbappé.
He wants the crown.
He wants the crown. He wants the massive signing bonuses. He wants to be the undisputed alpha, and he wants the club to acknowledge him as the ultimate focal point.
So he is basically using the World Cup as a massive bargaining chip.
Oh, 100%. And the leverage is terrifying for the executives. If Vinicius goes to the 2026 World Cup and completely dominates, he holds the club hostage. He can walk into the boardroom and demand literally whatever he wants. But if he struggles, the club holds the cards. Still, the looming threat of him walking away for free in 2027 is a very real, pulsing nightmare for the top brass.
And then, as if that wasn't enough, you inject the electoral rumor into this powder keg. The promise of bringing in Erling Haaland.
Yeah, that's where it gets bonkers.
Here's where it gets really interesting. If you pair Haaland and Mbappé, who's actually passing them the ball, it's like putting 2 steering wheels in the car. How does that even function tactically when the midfield is completely gutted of creators?
It doesn't function. I mean, they would clash violently. It goes back to how players consume space on the pitch.
Right.
Haaland is an apex predator, a static presence who requires constant pinpoint service from elite creators. He pins the center backs perfectly. But remember what we just said about Mbappé.
He needs to cut inside into those central zones.
Exactly. If Haaland is standing there occupying that exact space, Mbappé has nowhere to go.
You don't get a super team, you get a massive traffic jam.
You get complete tactical gridlock. And the harsh reality is this. If a true 9, like Haaland, arrives, Vinicius is the one who has to be sacrificed.
They'd actually sell Vinny.
They'd have to, both to balance the financial books and to balance the pitch. You cannot have Vinicius, Mbappé, and Haaland on the same wage bill without imploding the club's economy, and you certainly can't have them on the same pitch without a midfield to supply them.
Man, But as explosive as the friction is on the pitch, it is just a drop in the bucket compared to the absolute pit lane brawl happening in the boardroom. We have to pivot to the June 7th elections.
The main event.
It is Florentino Perez versus Enrique Riquelme, and it is a bloodbath. What exactly is Riquelme's strategy here? Because he is going hard.
Riquelme is engaging in pure, ruthless guerrilla warfare. He knows he can't beat Florentino on traditional corporate stability, right? So he is running a highly aggressive, populist campaign aimed directly at the actual fan member.
Promising them the world.
Literally. He's promising a 250 million euro plus project called the City of the Socio, the sprawling complex dedicated solely to the fans. And to really weaponize nostalgia, he is promising to name the club legend Raúl González as his sporting director.
He's throwing out these massive nostalgic hooks to hijack the daily narrative, but then he crossed a line that feels completely unprecedented.
He went nuclear.
He goes on a fiercely pro-Catalan radio station-like and aggressively anti-Madridista platform and drops this nuclear accusation.
Yes, the Negreira accusation. And for you listening, the Negreira scandal is the radioactive situation involving Barcelona allegedly making payments to the vice president of the Spanish refereeing committee over several years.
The biggest scandal in Spanish football history.
By far, it is the most sensitive, explosive topic you can touch.
Right, and Riquelme didn't just mention it. He outright accused Florentino of secretly financing Barcelona with 400 million euros and actively working to hide the Negreira scandal from the public.
It's crazy. Going on that specific radio station to attack the president's defense of Madridismo is a scorched earth tactic. It is designed to create maximum institutional chaos.
And it worked.
Oh, absolutely. And that chaos has bled directly into the electoral board. The entire voting process is under siege right now. Riquelme is publicly claiming the mail-in vote is rigged and that he was deliberately denied access to the member census so he couldn't campaign.
And the Electoral Board is furious. They didn't just deny his claims, they fired back by offering 247 video surveillance of the mail-in ballots just to shut him up. The paranoia inside the club right now is off the charts.
And Florentino is taking the gloves off. He is directly countering by promising to take the entire Negreira dossier straight to UEFA President Alexander Efferin himself, demanding ultimate consequences.
Fighting fire with fire.
Exactly. Furthermore, he is promising immediate world-class superstar signings to instantly quell the rebellion and remind the socios who the architect of the modern era actually is.
But wait, let's look at the actual numbers for a second. Riquelme is trailing in the polls, right? He's sitting somewhere between 15 and 30%.
Yeah, he's significantly behind.
So Riquelme is essentially throwing a wrench into the gears while we are going 200 miles an hour. Is he honestly trying to save the car, or is he just trying to crash it so he can sweep up the pieces?
This raises an important question. Is Riquelme merely crashing the car, or is he exposing the fact that the engine is already rotting from the inside out?
Oh, wow.
Because despite his aggressive, chaotic tactics, the systemic truths he is pointing at are devastating.
What kind of rot are we talking about here?
We are talking about a wildly bloated executive structure. There are redundant, seven-figure salaries being paid to people who are doing absolutely nothing.
How does that even happen at a club this size with that much scrutiny?
It happens because of a bunker mentality. When executives fail in their roles, instead of being fired and removed from the building, they are quietly shuffled into vague adjunct positions with their massive paychecks entirely intact.
Just to buy their silence.
To keep them loyal.
Exactly. Loyalty over competence. It's a hallmark of an aging regime pulling the drawbridge up, and there is blatant nepotism.
Really?
Yeah, there are deep rumblings internally that Florentino's own grandson is allegedly sitting in and running incredibly high-level, sensitive club meetings without any official title or mandate from the socios.
That's insane.
It is. The current regime might have simply died of its own success, becoming too bloated, too paranoid, and too insular to operate cleanly anymore.
Which brings us to the ultimate stakes. The final straight. If you are a fan listening to this, you might be wondering, does a boardroom election actually affect what happens on the pitch next Sunday?
And the answer is a resounding yes.
Because there is a 10 billion euro pot of gold on the table, and the very DNA of the club is about to change forever. Why is the financial pressure so toxic right now? Because the financial reality check hitting the club is brutal. They're bleeding cash. Operating costs are skyrocketing out of control. The club has pulled various financial levers in the past, like the Legends deal, Providence, selling off VIP box rights, banking on the Club World Cup cash injection.
But those are one-off bandages.
Right. They are not sustainable recurring revenue streams.
And meanwhile, we are fighting financial leviathans. State-owned clubs are warping the entire financial gravity of the sport. You look at PSG, bought for 90 million euros and now valued at nearly 6 billion.
It's astronomical.
And Manchester City has bottomless sovereign wealth resources. How does a member-owned club compete with a nation-state?
That is exactly the dilemma driving Florentino's monumental master plan. He wants to transform the club's business and commercial arm into a completely separate corporate society.
Okay.
Under this proposal, the socios would retain 95% of this new entity, but a critical 5% would be sold to a mega investor, likely a massive private equity fund, for roughly 500 million euros.
Boom. That specific transaction immediately values the club at a staggering 10 billion euros and injects desperate instant liquidity into the accounts.
It is the ultimate ideological clash. It is Silicon Valley corporate scaling versus the traditional city of the socio.
Right.
You have to remember Florentino's background. His power stems from ACS, one of the biggest construction and infrastructure conglomerates on Earth. He looks at the Bernabeu and Valdebebas and sees a global tech and data center hub. He wants a corporate juggernaut.
ENRIQUE.
RIQUELME, conversely, is selling a nostalgic retro vision of a massive theme park solely dedicated to the socios, funded, well, somehow, nobody really knows.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? We're literally talking about selling 5% of the most sacred member-owned real estate in the history of sports.
A massive shift.
Is this a genius financial airbag to keep us from crashing into the state-owned clubs? Or is this the first tiny crack in the windshield before full privatization shatters the whole thing?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, right now, Florentino's immense gravitational pull is holding the entire structure together. He is powerful enough and respected enough to look a mega investor in the eye and say, you only get 5% and you have zero voting power.
But Florentino will not be there forever.
The biological reality.
Precisely.
If you give a massive private equity firm a 5% foot in the door today, what happens in a decade under a weaker, less influential president? You have to understand the mechanics of private equity. They do not settle for 5%.
They never do.
They demand year-over-year growth, they demand control of the board, and they demand dividends. Giving them a foothold now could easily be the Trojan horse that leads to a full corporate takeover down the line. You let the wolves into the foyer today, and eventually they are going to demand the dining room.
Okay, let's bring the RPMs down for just a second and look right at you, the listener. The stakes simply could not be higher. We're watching a ruthless tactical rebuild being orchestrated by Marino in the shadows because the current squad is structurally broken. We have global superstars fighting for positional and financial leverage in a system that cannot accommodate all of them. We have a bitter, deeply personal election exposing deep-seated nepotism and executive rot.
It's all coming to a head.
And hanging over all of it is a 10 billion euro corporate decision that will permanently alter the club's foundational DNA.
It is the defining crossroads of the modern era. Every single decision made in the boardroom over the next week will echo for the next 50 years on the pitch.
You've heard the roar of the engine. You've seen the deep systemic cracks in the chassis. But as this 5% sale officially opens the sacred doors to Wall Street, I want to leave you with this.
Think about this carefully.
In 10 years, when you look at the crest on that iconic white shirt, will it still belong to the fans screaming in the stands, or will it belong to a silent boardroom in an entirely different time zone? Keep your eyes on the track. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.